Here's the deal then. There's still no deal. So what's happening behind the scenes to get a deal? Dick Armey is the House Majority Leader during the last shutdown. Dick, what do you think is really going on there? You would know whether someone's meeting at a restaurant on K Street or, you know, at a train station in a dark corner saying, all right, here's what we got to do. Is any of that you suspect going on?
Oh, I think right now what's going on is something that's very close to civil war within the Republican caucus, particularly on the House. House side, Harry Reid and the Democrats are very happy. The Republicans just let them off the hook. Kurt Vonnegut would be so proud of the Republicans because the Democrats have been dreading this day when the world would focus on how dysfunctional and horrendous an imposition on my life is Obamacare, and they didn't want to listen to the world talk about that. So the Republicans rode in and said, all right, let's change the subject to the Republicans shutting down the government. There have been 20 government shutdowns since Jimmy Carter was in office, and the Republicans have been blamed for every one. So the Democrats are off the hook.
7 of them happened with Democrats leading the effort, but that's either in it. So how long do you think this lasts, Congressman? What do you think happens?
I think in the end, the frustrations and the anxieties within the Republican conference are going to be so high, with the Democrats just standing pat on the sidelines, mocking them, that they're going to end up coming to terms with a continuous resolution that has no language affecting Obamacare and probably is at higher numbers than they would have passed in the first place. In the end, the Democrats will get a better deal than they would have been willing to give up in the first instance because the Republicans are going to be desperate to settle and get out of there. It's the old line, I don't want any more cheese, I just want out of the trap.
Well, if Republicans are the ones in the trap, then you know for the last shutdown that they come out of that trap in better shape than the mainstream media generally lets on. After the shutdown that you experienced, there were nominal losses in the House. You picked up seats in the Senate. You picked up governorships that year. And you got a Democratic president to rein in spending and bring on welfare to work. So despite what those in the media state, it's not as if Republicans get the losing hand here if they can get the focus back on spending. Do you think that can happen?
Yeah, well, if in fact they could do that, get the focus back on spending and keep the two separate, both on spending as a separate issue and on health care as a separate issue, the Democrats lose. But when the Republicans are seen as sort of maliciously shutting down the government in order to try to gain ground they'll never gain on health care, then the Republicans lose. The fact of the matter is the health care debate would be a deadly debate for the Democrats. They just don't have to face that debate.
Yeah, but you know,
today.
I always think that we are what we read and hear, and despite the presence of Fox and trying to offer some balance to this, these are images that might or might not stick. Today's Daily News cover, House of Turds, referring to John Boehner, almost analogous to the same paper and referring to Newt Gingrich and the Speaker in a temper tantrum and a crybaby. Those are images that tend to stick. I don't think always fairly, but they tend to stick. How do Republicans respond? How do they counter now?
I think you know, the unfortunate thing is only after having impaled themselves on the wrong answer did they get to the right answer. If they should have expanded the whole business of getting the Republicans, the Congress to live under the same law to a broader one that more got to Obama's bad behavior, which is nobody gets an exception under Obamacare unless that exception is available to everyone. Thus, you would go back to focusing on Obama cherry-picking exceptions for his political allies, and you would be focused on that. Delay for a year. Right. Until we can get this thing together. And there are things they could do, and they should do them separately. My advice to Speaker Boehner, who's a good man caught in a terrible configuration of numbers, is get to a settlement of this and then get the issues back on the workable changes in Obamacare.
All right, my friend. Or Dick Armey, thank you very, very much. A lot of people email us back at 4-2 on this very subject about what's fair and what's not, and that you can't change something that's already law. Well, it's already been changed a number of times. There have been thousands of exemptions and carve-outs for everyone and every group under the sun. So it has already been changed. There is precedent to changing this so-called immovable, unstoppable law of the land. So that's reality. So you can argue whether you want to then stop the clock and say you can't do it anymore, but it's been done again and again and again. We shall see.